Welcome to the Raise Podcast. I'm Coral.
And I'm Natalie.
And we're here to help you raise your game whilst raising the next generation.
We want to help put the power in your hands and inspire you to live your life the way you choose. Ready to raise some questions?
Well, so are we. So on today's episode, we have Francis and Lauren from the Imaginarium. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the Raise Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
And I think we'll probably start with, we'd love you to tell us what exactly is the Imaginarium?
Okay, the Imaginarium is a school for home educated children that we sort of have a strapline of school reimagined. Yeah, so it's really, I guess, creating a space for the kids who are in homeschool situations, but who kind of long for that same sort of sense of community and peer group learning and that kind of stuff that you get in school. But if they're not in school, then they come to us. I suppose that's the short version.
Amazing. We're mixed age, which is quite unusual. You know, a school wouldn't be like that. So we've got 5-year-olds up to 12 and 13 nearly now, which is an amazing space to see children like working together, almost like a family might work.
Amazing.
So I think that's a really nice thing about it. And it just feels it's a bit more child-led probably than a school would be.
Mm-hmm.
And we try and do topic work. We don't have to follow a curriculum because we aren't actually a school.
Okay.
So that means we've got that amazing freedom to input into a child's education, but not with the sole provider, which is really quite a nice place to be in, rather than that huge pressure that you might have as a school or as an individual teacher.
Interesting.
Amazing. And why did you guys start it?
So
It's a two-pronged
two
answer.
reasons.
Yeah.
We both have quite different reasons.
Yeah, you go.
So I was a state school teacher
Okay.
in the management team. So I've been a teacher for a long time. Loved it, but there were lots of other pressures. There were lots of things that I didn't know why I was doing them anymore. And then back to the classroom, I ended up realising that these 32 children in front of me, they were present, but they weren't present here. They weren't present in terms of necessarily learning. So they might have been complying, they might have been quiet, but it doesn't mean they were learning.
So you mean they were kind of like switching off? Yeah.
I think the term is like desktop truancy or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was that aspect of like what I'm doing. I don't actually know how much is going in.
Yeah.
And then you have children who you just realise this isn't working for them. And they're being branded as naughty.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not naughty. They're bored. And they're having to do maths every day and English every day. And that isn't what they're interested in. So it's that really narrowed curriculum, sadly, that's happened. And it's not the teacher's fault. I want to make that really clear. Like, I think teachers are amazing and I know everyone gets into it for the right reasons. And then these pressures happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was starting to feel, I don't know what the word is, like just sad about the system and sad about my part in it and not feeling like I was having enough impact, I suppose. And at the same time, I met Francis, and I guess your reason then prompted what we did.
Yeah. So my reason was I'm a mum, primarily. Really short version because it's really hard to condense, but Isaac, my son, started school and it kind of went against all of the gut feeling. It felt too soon. It just didn't feel right. And the experience that he had starting was sort of, it just didn't work for him and it was kind of not great for either of us. So we sort of persevered, but his mental health went downhill and it affected him like quite profoundly. And I think it was just about his needs maybe not being met because of the stresses and strains that all of the teachers are under, clearly. And it wasn't sort of holistic enough, in my view. And his emotional needs were sort of sidelined. And that, for me, is like the primary point of education, in my view, I guess. Certainly in the early years, but actually all the way through. So I pulled him out of school, terrified, single mum, broke. How am I going to do this? Found our feet, loved home edding, but then sort of was realising that if I wanted to carry on down that route, I would either have to probably find a way of earning loads of money so I can fundamentally throw it at his education. Because I think home ed is great, but it is a massive privilege, I think, for those of us who do it.
Yeah. That's one of the main questions that I get is how do I do it? Or one of the main comments is people say to me, I would love to, but I can't afford it or I don't have the time. So totally.
Huge privilege, right? And I think privilege can come in it can look like so many different things. I wouldn't say I was necessarily in a place of financial privilege, but I was in a place of location was great. So southeast of England, brilliant for home edding.
Really good community.
Yeah, exactly. So whereas lots of places may not have that community. So I was lucky, but I was also at a point where I didn't want to put him back into mainstream. It just felt wrong. And I could see him through COVID, like we'd nailed it. People were phoning and going like, how do you do this? And I was like, oh, I'm like a seasoned pro. I've been doing this for ages. And then I realized that like, as we came out of that, he really missed the cohesion and that group and the peer-based learning that he got from things like Forest School and the things that he went to. And then it got me worrying and thinking, okay, I know people who are home edding and I know the kids need something. And I never thought I'd be this person, but I love working with kids.
You're so good at it, by the way. I have to say.
Thank you. It's very sweet. I love being around them. I'm basically a kid in my head. And Lauren's definitely the grown-up.
We work so well together.
It's created a really nice... It does. It's created a really lovely working relationship.
Both are needed.
I cannot do it without her, 100%. Yeah, all the kind of grown-up adult stuff, she definitely nails. And in all seriousness, like, it really taught me that, you know, if you're going to do something properly, you do need to really know that stuff. And I am not that person. But then there's value in sort of knowing the child's side of it, or, you know, kind of being in the room for them. And I think that, we balance out really well. You're brilliant at that as well. But that's definitely what I had to bring to the table. So that's how it came about.
We met, you made me quit.
I basically...
Oh, so you were actually in the school system at the time, and then
saying things like that, you know, my things I didn't like about it, I guess.
I suggested that we did I sort of convinced her to do a maths focus group. So we kind of turned my front room in Brighton into a classroom.
So I think I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was still working, wasn't I? Yeah. And then on a Tuesday, I dashed to your house, lead this little group. There were 5 of them.
6, yeah.
How I fit that in, I don't know. But anyway, we did that. And then...
I think that opened your eyes to home ed kids, because it was also kind of you feeling a bit like, how am I going to connect to them? How am I going to be with them? And you did brilliantly.
Yeah. And then I've thought of a few things as you were speaking actually about the why. So I knew I would be taking a huge pay cut. You know, teachers do get paid well. But sadly, my grandma passed away, but happily she enabled this because I had some inheritance and was like, I can survive for a year or so with a much less income. So that was like a reason that I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would not have been able to do it. And, you know, you talked about privilege then. That's one of the reasons why we tried to keep our price point as low as we could, because we want it to be accessible for as many people as possible. We could have charged more.
Yeah.
Easily, but we wanted it to be accessible. And our day's pretty long. 9 till 5.
Yeah. People are often really impressed when I say how long I get to hand my kids over for. So thank you.
because again, really, this is probably from you, Frances, knowing that home ed parents are trying to make days working quite often.
It's such a struggle.
So hard,
we know the struggle, you know, trying to balance everything. So what you guys have done, I'm sure a lot of parents are very grateful for.
You know, in a 2-hour lesson, great, but then you've got to drive them there, drive yourself home, and then it's time to pick them up again. So we were trying to create, that's another why, I suppose, of it.
But it's a really important point, and it's our identity. We've tried to establish and find over the couple of years that we've been doing it. And I think there are points where, you know, let's say you don't get into this for money. Like fundamentally, we can pay ourselves.
And we can pay our rent.
Yeah.
And we've created it with a not-for-profit, and we're a flat payment structure. So we earn as much as anyone who works with us earns. And it's not great money, I wouldn't say, but it's okay. And the whole point being that, yeah, it would be lovely to earn a bit more money, but I know that we would lose half the people who access us. And it's really
That's really
hard
sad.
to find that balance. But it's also super important that, I think it's super important to both of us that it is accessible to
100%.
so many people, or as many people as possible, I think.
And then one more thing you touched on I wanted to talk about was you talking about how school affected Isaac and how you wanted to think more, we wanted to be more holistic.
Yeah.
And just going back to what it's like in a school, often there's no time for that. There's no time to deal with the emotional side of children because you're on quite a strict schedule. If you're a year 6 teacher like I was for years, I've got to get them through their SATs.
Yeah.
So even though, again, you know what you would love to do and what you should do, I've got to stick to my schedule. And there is no time to talk about that incident that happened well enough, and to really make these children a cohesive group. I'm sure there are teachers out there who manage it, but I found that super hard.
Did you? Okay.
And what's amazing now is, we've got a schedule, but it's flexible.
Yeah, and the priority in the room 100% is the emotional well-being of the child.
Love that. Yeah.
If we have to stop things or change things.
It's
we
the
can just do
idea,
that.
the idea that, bullying doesn't exist. And, you could walk into Imaginarium and go, oh, it's so wholesome and bullying doesn't exist. Here, it doesn't exist because we deal with it. If there is ever something that is occurring, which it does, because you've got a load of children in the room.
Lots of different personalities with lots
100%.
of different needs and different ages. I can imagine it must be pretty full on.
And it might not be bullying, but it might be that someone's upset by something.
Okay.
And instead of then having to kind of just tell them to stop doing it, which is never going to,
Work.
you can pull them all in.
Do conflict resolution.
Talk about
Exactly.
there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
But also doing it without that sort of sense of shame of the whoever is, in theory, kind of, behaving in a way that's upsetting somebody else. It's as important to meet their needs in that situation.
It's like, why are they responding or reacting in that way?
Yeah.
Looking at the bigger picture.
Because we've all been that person.
Yeah.
And for them to know that as well,
Yeah.
it's absolutely okay to be the person that upsets someone.
Yeah.
As long as you kind of know that and own it. And so it's kind of, teaching them that really. And then the group becomes beautifully cohesive, which it really is. And they look out for each other.
And again, the thing that's different is the children have stopped sometimes expecting us to sort something out. Like, so-and-so took this from me. The kind of, so-and-so said this. We often go, do they know that you feel like that? Have you talked to them? Do you want me to come with you? So encouraging them to kind of...
Well, you're giving them the skills to figure it out themselves.
And realise they are capable. And actually, sometimes if you just leave them, let it play out, especially as older and younger, it
amazing.
works because they actually listen to each other far more than they listen to us half the time.
Leave them, but witness. It's like it's standing back, but you're still there and you're witnessing it.
I've heard that's apparently meant to be a good strategy even for dealing with sibling,
Just let's see how this
it's
plays
like,
out.
let's see how
Easier
it...
said than done.
I'm like, I can't I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
I think we've answered way more questions.
No,
but
it's
anyway,
fantastic.
Amazing. And actually, I really like how you talk about tailoring the emotional needs of children in your space, because I think my daughter's autistic. And so we have a lot of kind of struggles at school at the moment. She is at school. And their guidelines for dealing with any sort of emotional school refusal or anything that's a challenge, the guidelines are all the same no matter what the issues are.
Yeah.
It's very much about attendance and kind of not looking at the holistic,
Not looking at the child.
Absolutely, and what they're struggling
autonomy.
with. Yeah.
The child
there's so many
often
things.
knows so much about their needs that just gets dismissed.
Yeah.
We have a really high level or proportion of neurodiversity.
This is what I wanted to, I was leading to. It's kind of like, how do you tailor or work with, the children that don't fit in the school system, and how do you nurture that,
So I would say half the time, you can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds wrong, you can't tell. But because of how we operate, we find out about the child, not their label.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's useful to get as much information from a parent as possible.
Yeah.
But equally, just any child, you need to work out their likes, their dislikes, their triggers, how they tick,
Yeah.
all of those things, no matter what's going off with them. And really, that would be our basic principle. And we are very clear that parents can stay in whatever capacity that is, whether it's hiding in the kitchen and just
that's
being
really
there for their
interesting.
child.
Some of the parents actually work from
Imaginarium.
That is so good.
You know, that comes about from having my child taken out of my arms and then placed in a classroom and the door shut and me being on the other side of it. And then me being told that that's the right thing.
Yeah, go.
And that it's
I
just my
just had
problem.
experience recently of that, and I was like, I'm never doing
So hearing
that
a child
again.
crying.
And them taking her from me crying, and them telling me that that's what we need to do to keep her
And I was
in
that
school.
person.
Yeah.
I've got a very different view and relationship with our parents than I did with the parents in the state school I was at, just because I suppose you were so busy, you want to get the kids in, you want to start your day, you're a bit like, just
But that's all
leave
born
us
out.
do it.
That's all born out of the
Yeah.
pressure that you were under.
Oh, yeah.
And also with that pressure, it creates a barrier between
course,
your
yeah.
desire to then actually communicate properly with the parents, because you don't have any time to.
That's the thing, it's time, isn't
Yeah.
it? You don't have the time to
And then,
Individually,
when you see the children out at the end of the day in the state school, as a parent, if the teacher starts walking up to you, the only reason is because something bad has happened that day. So the only interactions you end up having often
A negative.
are like, this happened today. Whereas I feel like a real community with the Imaginarium parents. And then we can, we can call in favours. We can ask them things. It feels like such a lovely
Going back to
relationship.
the kind of dividing line between home and school, I think that is, for me, in my view, one thing that could be easily changed, and one thing that it just seems so simple to me. You've got nothing to hide. There's no reason that your parent has to leave.
Yeah.
You're telling a child who's never met me before, never met you before,
might have separation anxiety,
might have any sort of anxiety.
Trauma.
You're telling that child, come in here, hang out with us, don't see mum and dad or granny, however long, for 8 hours, which is a long day. And if you're going to show any sign of upset about that, then you've got a problem. Because you should just go for it.
It's incredible that you guys do that.
The other thing that we do, again, and this is that's made me realise this, if a child says, I want to get home, and then it's really clear they do mean it, they're missing their parent, whatever, I would usually do all in my power to keep them. Because I can't disturb the parent. I'd feel bad. But that isn't necessarily good for the child. And we will pick up the phone.
I've had numerous texts, often Sufi. Sorry,
I want to go home.
Again, no, that's autonomy. They're
But
saying,
I love it.
I'm
That's
expressing
amazing.
my need. I'm telling you I want to see my mum. And often, or my dad or my granny or whoever it is, I just defer mum, sorry.
Yeah.
Often that might just be that they want to hear their voice.
Yeah.
Yes, to be allowed them to, they sometimes just ring
Just
their
say
parents.
hi. Just say hi. And then invariably they skip back into the room. Same goes. If mum's in the kitchen hiding all day, reading a book or doing some work, and they know that they can just dip in, if that has to last for 2 years, which it did with one child in particular, fine.
Yeah, their parent, one parent was there for 2 years.
All the more
nearly.
reason to do it. Because actually, what I love about that is as well is then we're being seen by other people. That just feeds into this sense of like reflection, which we do all the time. So you've got that parent's view on what we're delivering. And invariably, it's really positive feedback that we get from the parents who are in the room, which then makes me think, okay, that's really important as well.
Yeah.
Even if it's negative feedback, great. Like we need feedback. You need to be checked. You need to be seen. You need to all of that.
Yeah. And it does go against any parental instinct to leave your child. So for you to be able to provide that for children, that security, in my eyes, is setting them up for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
And that's probably why, going back to your original kind of question about autistic children or neurodiversity, why we've somehow, all of those things we put in place, including the parents staying, is made it work for so many children.
Yeah. And I bet the impact it's had on families is huge because of that.
Because you know that. I mean, Natalie, unfortunately, will tell me, she knows by a Friday that Tara will be completely overstimulated because, or at the end of every school day, she comes home and is overworked, overstimulated, stressed.
Yeah.
You get
and it takes, and Natalie gets the break because she's had to be on best behaviour all day and without her mum. And you say even after school holidays, she's like a different child.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really noticed the difference. Yeah.
Just a quick break to talk to you about Happy Mammoth. At Raise, our goal is to help women and mothers to live their best lives, and that's exactly what Happy Mammoth want you to do too.
They are dedicated to helping women take control of their well-being at every stage of their life. Hormones are essential for our overall health and happiness as they impact everything from our energy levels, sleep, to our mood and our focus. And when they're out of balance, well, life can feel pretty out of balance too, which is why we're excited to share Happy Mammoth's Hormone Harmony with you.
Hormone Harmony isn't just for women going through menopause, it's for anyone experiencing the effects of hormonal changes. We both take Hormone Harmony as part of our daily supplement go-tos and are so impressed with the ingredients and benefits we feel from taking it. They're packed with adaptogens, which are really powerful herbal extracts that help your body manage stress, and it's designed to naturally restore balance and help you feel like yourself again.
You may have actually seen Hormone Harmony on social media already because women cannot stop raving about how it has transformed their lives. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds.
So whether you're navigating life's transitions into menopause or just looking for hormonal balance, check out Hormone Harmony from Happy Mammoth, because life's too short to let your hormones hold you back.
For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code RAISE at checkout.
Another thing that probably helps, again, every child is we try and function on an opt-in basis to whatever we're doing. We ask that they find out what the activity session involves, but they don't have to do it. And invariably they do.
Yeah.
And we're working out the right recipe for that. Like, choice helps massively, feeling that they're in control. But if it doesn't appeal to them, if they're having a bad day, if they're overwhelmed, they don't have to do it. They can go. Some children, drawing will relax them and help them to regulate. Whatever,
Being
reading.
in the garden, being in the library, not being shamed for not being there.
But I know, Lauren, you've told me before that often what will happen is a child will say, no, I don't want to do it. And they'll go and play, and then they'll look over and be like, oh, what are they up to over there?
Yeah.
And that happens so many times.
And it also happens so many times when someone's going, no, I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to draw. And then you're in the middle of a maths lesson and they might just shout the answer out. Because they might be drawing, but they're totally
still paying
listening.
But I think that as an adult, if I'm told to do something, my automatic is like,
I'm not going to do that.
You know? Yeah, exactly. Whereas when I see something, I'm like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And it is, I think there's often rules for rules' sake in a school.
But
or
there
in
has
those
to
kind
be.
of, there doesn't. Like,
Okay.
I remember this is a secondary school example, but we had to wear blazers. And you couldn't take it off unless you asked a teacher.
That's just not necessary.
What is the point of that rule? And if a school has loads of rules like that, that is making the children feel so out of control that they're not going to be open to anything.
Yeah.
So we've started to make sure that we don't have unnecessary rules. You can talk about chewing gum.
No, I was just going to say I do, in my typically childlike way, often we have check-ins. So we have circle time about 10 o'clock in the morning. And we pull them all in. And if we've got new faces or if we feel like we need to recap stuff, I might go in with can I just ask, do I need to ask any of you if I need to do a poo? And they all like...
And I'm doing this. Oh, gosh.
Do I need to ask any of you if I need to do a wee or have a drink or get something to eat? And they're all like, no. And I'm like, do you need to ask us? And they all go, no. And it just feels like it's so nice.
It teaches them independence though as
like,
well,
of course,
doesn't
go
it?
to the toilet when you need the toilet. Why do we have to ask?
But it's amazing how long it's taken for them to not go, can I have a wee?
Really? That was actually one of our questions was, what have you noticed, if anything, from a child that has been in the school system that has then come to the Imaginarium in comparison to the children that have been homeschooled the whole time?
For me, immediately, it's the asking to do basic things that you should just be able to do in privacy without declaring to a room full of people.
I would say it's telling on
the telling was another one.
Oh, really?
So if they're in the school, from the school system, they're very used to going up to you and saying, so-and-so just said something mean to me, so-and-so just took this from me. And I understand why, but there's no sense that they could do something about that. It's just been taken from them somehow within the school system, I guess.
Well, I suppose
an adult will fix this.
It's that same system of saying an adult will tell me when I can wee. an adult will fix my problems. And I can't do it. I'm not empowered to do it.
And sadly, what they want to witness is you go up to the child that took the thing from them and go, don't take that again. And then the other one sits there going, yeah, I've got you, or like, told, now you've been told.
Yeah.
But it doesn't create any sort of solution or change to habits or understanding of each other's needs.
Yeah, of course.
But they think that's job done. And we are really trying not to be the fixers.
Yeah.
Which is what sometimes how adults are viewed.
Things that I thought the kids would find really weird as well, they take to really easily. So like we often do meditation. So like if we come back from the park and we can see they're all kind of up here.
Eyes cut, yeah.
And you're going to go into reading and we'll just pull them into the carpet and just do a 15-minute, And just the other day, we had a breakthrough with one child who the whole time through meditation would be going like to the neck, elbowing them and, whatever they can do to get a laugh out of someone else.
Francis was just pulling funny faces, by the way. Just
on a podcast.
Sorry about that. He went all the way through. And then when we came out of the meditation, he was like, I think I'm just going to stay here. And and it's those little breakthroughs that like, for me, that's huge.
Because they wouldn't have had the space or the time to do that.
Or for them to learn that connection in their bodies that I feel like up here, how can we help you come down to this point
tools
before we ask you to do something where you are going to be required to be at this level. So I'm using hand now.
No.
And then instead of going into something, setting an expectation where they are, pumped, and then you're going to kind of shame them for being in that headspace and expect them to do, it's just, there's a load of nonsense involved with not seeing where they're at, not reading the room, not looking at the emotional well-being. That's the side of it. And again, I just want to say, I don't want to, I have massive respect for people who teach in schools.
Yeah. I bet even more so now after.
Yeah, exactly, more so. But I think the system, and I'm going to say it, I think it's broken.
Yeah.
Or on its way to being completely broken.
It just doesn't suit everyone.
And I really struggle with the lack of broad, wide learning instead of focusing just heavily on two subjects. I really struggle with the lack of emotional well-being at the forefront, mental health crisis looming. There's all these things that I am actually, the adult part of me is really scared about where it's going.
It's bleeding.
Honestly.
And, talking about the differences between kids that have been to school and have always been home edited, that is one I was just thinking about. Children who've been to school are probably ahead, if we're talking about the curriculum, in their reading, their writing and their maths. But home ed kids are ahead in knowledge of the world, knowledge of what's healthy and what's good for the world, life skills, language skills, things like conflict, socialization, all of those things, they are streets ahead in. And then the other really sad thing is, when we get a child that's been in school, they often, at the beginning, are the ones that opt out the most because they finally can.
Oh, because they have the choice.
Finally, they're like, I don't have to do this thing. When that's all they've
But isn't that interesting for future? I think.
So they essentially don't, I feel like they don't, or they've been turned off learning. They've lost their love of learning, as opposed to the ones who've been home edited, who are so interested in things. As long as we give them interesting things.
Yeah.
Because
which you do, Sufi educates me. So you're doing a very good job, guys.
Which we try our best to do, because that's another thing. We've got that freedom to not teach a traditional lesson. So we can try and make it, way more hands-on.
Fun.
But that's quite a big difference. We were talking on the way about how much we teach things like maths and English. And I was saying, I don't think we do enough. And then Frances pointed out, that's because you think they should do maths every day.
Because
and
that's
English
what you were used
every
to.
day.
Yeah.
And actually, when you think about the subjects we do them all on a par.
Yeah.
And we value social time as learning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And play.
And play as learning.
Very
so
much play,
they have at least the same amount in a day of social and what we would say is our focus time.
Okay.
Possibly the balance is tipped towards social, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Amazing.
But
or
the
cooperative games
also,
or something.
The play and the social is also with the adults
as
well. You set that example. So we might be in the park for lunch, but we're not just there sort of like,
Well, we are
hanging out. Well, occasionally.
Yeah, you're allowed a minute. Yeah.
Sometimes we have to talk
Take a
about
minute.
things.
Yeah. But invariably, one of us will be doing the zip wire, one of us will be playing parachute, we'll be doing something with the children because we want to, genuinely.
But you can see that. I know when I drop my girls off, you guys are genuinely happy to see my kids. And it's so lovely to witness. And I'm so grateful for that because I know I can see the enthusiasm and the genuine kindness in all of you.
And it's so nice
honestly.
that the children, loads of our parents say the children want to come.
Yeah.
They're upset about missing a session if they're off, because obviously you guys can go off camping or whatever it is you all do.
Because we're home
Not holidays.
I can't anymore because I run Imaginarium. Oh, the
Lots
irony.
of them have come, for example, last week it's been that home ed camp. Loads of them have come shattered because they've camped the night before, but they wanted to come. And they're in and they're bleary-eyed, but they want to be there.
What I love is when occasionally we're going on, like we're setting off for break for Christmas or whatever it is, and you sit in a circle. And more often than not, it'll be like, well, we're having a couple of weeks break, and some of the kids will go, oh. It's like,
wow.
That
does not happen at school.
It doesn't.
No.
And that feeling of those children who have come out of school and sort of avoid it for a bit. And the day that they walk in and they sit down and they do something, and we both look at each other and go,
yes,
you've done it.
When I said they opt out at the beginning, it's not always. They just have that
those
suddenly
wins,
exercise.
those small wins that make you feel, okay, we're doing something right. Because it's really hard to not question yourself all the time. And we're really hard on
even
ourselves,
as
I think.
Parents, regardless of homeschooling, you question whether you're doing the right thing anyway, mum guilt and everything. But especially with home educating, I'm constantly having the battle with whether I'm doing the right thing or not, or whether I'm, they're missing out on certain opportunities if they're learning the right things. And then I look at them as a whole and I see whether my child is happy and balanced. And, my kids fortunately are. So I just think, okay, I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Actually, Sophie's a case in point here because, again, I keep talking about school.
No, but
It's
this
just
is a
my
conversation.
comparison,
Yeah.
Children are meant to be on a very straight line graph, and there's a trajectory, and each year you get better and better. When Sophie came to us,
Sophie's my daughter, by the way.
Sorry, her reading probably wasn't where it should be.
Yeah.
But she's done an exponential curve, and it's not necessarily anything we taught her. We just allowed it. We have reading time every day. One of us sat with her, helped her a bit. And then do you remember at the end of last summer?
Yeah.
She just could read.
This is really
amazingly
interesting
well.
Because I've heard on numerous occasions with unschooled children where they don't put any, pressure on reading, and all of a sudden their kids can read. And I, with Ava, because it was the first time with homeschooling, we sat down, we did workbooks, and, her reading was always okay, but kind of on par with other kids. With Sophie, I was kind of curious to see if we don't put any pressure on her reading, and all of a sudden, I remember you saying, and it was like she can just read, but menus and really difficult words that I didn't think.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you learn to read that?
She could
It was
read
overnight.
Fluently.
But isn't it interesting?
Like her brain was ready.
But isn't that interesting that was age 7, when a lot of people say that that's when you're able to understand that. So rather than kids spending 2 years of their lives being under the pressure,
forced to,
yeah, exactly. And then in lots of countries they don't start school till they're 7.
Scandinavia.
Exactly.
On the reading front, I just want to say this, and my experience with Isaac when he went into school, one of the biggest reasons to kind of question the situation was he was in reception and he could read because I read to him every night, and we were taking an hour and a half to get through a Megan Mogg book. But, I was like, kind of...
no one remembers the beginning anymore.
But I was, impressed that he wanted to do it. There was no push to do it, but he wanted to do it. Went into school. And again, this is not of all schools, but in our situation, because he could read, they were doing their reading practice, and he was asked to read aloud in front of his peers at the age of 4. So he said a word or read a couple of words, and a few people laughed because that's what kids do.
Because it was wrong.
Because it was wrong. And he just stopped. That was it, end of. And he refused from that point something that he'd loved. He absolutely refused and couldn't do it, didn't want to do it, whatever. So when I pulled him out, we got home and I was so scared. I felt really... This is another thing just to mention. It takes some nerve and some guts, and it's terrifying. And I want to say that just because often when I speak to the parents who are contemplating home ed, I always kind of say to them the thing that I wanted to hear, which is, it's honestly okay. You'll be okay, you know. And if it's this bad now, then don't worry, it's only going to get better kind of thing. Because when I left, I was quite isolated. And I think a lot of people thought that I was pulling him out of school because it was an awful school. It wasn't. It just didn't suit him, didn't suit us. Anyway, got home and I had all these books on the shelf. And we walked in and he said, do I have to read anymore? And I remember thinking, you know, because school has, you know, created this feeling. And I just went, don't ever have to pick up a book again, mate, if you don't want to. And I thought,
wow, I've just got goosebumps.
you know, like I was
like
so
rebel.
terrified. Yeah.
So was that the point? Was that the moment when you then decided to?
Yeah, I basically
homeschool?
hid my fear. The day that was the
How
day
old
that I
was
pulled him out. He was just 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And we went sledging and I told him that we weren't going back to school and that it wasn't anything to do with him, but, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, about a week later, so I read to him every night. And about a week later, he started reading again. Yeah, it was one of those moments where I thought, I'm going to completely screw this up or I'm going to trust in him. And he
Trust that he can.
And he did.
Yeah.
And isn't that the definition of unschooling?
Trusting the kid.
Yeah.
Well,
And can I ask as well, how did you, because I know a lot of people are contemplating homeschooling, but they don't have a clue where to start. So what did you do from that moment that you decided? Because I decided initially with Ava, she didn't ever start school.
Yeah.
But if someone's child is in school and they then decide to take them out, what were the steps that you took?
So again, my experience of this was not a positive one, sadly. But you are well within your legal right to home educate.
Yeah.
You have to inform the school. They might question that and challenge you on it, which I think is fair and legitimate and right, actually, because it's the safety of the child. It's really important. I actually asked for meetings with the head and things didn't happen. So it just sort of, for me, informed that my choice was the right one because no one was sort of stepping up and saying, no, don't do that. You know, here's an option. And I was like looking for options. But the steps of informing the school, if they're already in the school, absolutely, you have to do that. And then you would be registered as a child missing education, which you would then be assigned an officer. And somehow we slipped through the net. And for about 2 years, no one knew. And when the child officer phoned me, finally found out where we were, I said, I've been waiting for your call. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, he's been out of it for about 2 years. You know, just think, actually, all jokes aside, some people who home ed, I completely respect everyone's choice. Some just want to be under radar. But if you've been in the mainstream system, you can't be. It's not right to be because people need to know that the child is okay.
Yeah.
So I sort of said...
because it could be for the total wrong reason.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. So my argument to her was, well, you know, anything could have happened. My door's always open. And she said, well, you know, can you show me the maths and English he's doing? I said, you can come round. My door is always open.
Okay.
And we had a great conversation. She never came round. But it's pretty... My point is you might be being monitored to some degree.
Okay.
They might use language that terrifies you.
Yeah.
Again, that's a language, if you are me, you simply ignore it. If you are affected by it, then you phone them, pick up the phone. That would be my answer. And talk human to human. And then invariably that language drops away.
Okay.
If it doesn't, you're well within your legal right to home educate your child. It's that simple.
We're very fortunate in this country, aren't we?
Very fortunate, exactly, in this country.
Am I right in thinking as a home ed parent, you're supposed to write a report on your own
Yeah,
child?
they
It's
ask
like an
you
annual-
to.
And
I get them, but I've...
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well, but that's but Coral,
yeah.
I mean, this is again another reason, like, why are we doing it for doing its sake, you know?
Yeah.
So that, which is why you said, come around and look.
Yeah.
Don't make
Yeah.
me write this report on the whole
Exactly.
year. Are you kidding?
But
Yeah.
also for the welfare and the safety of the child, which really, in my view, should be the absolute primary concern.
Yeah.
Come and see where he lives. My door's open. You know, and then you
talk to
can
them.
ask him a few
See
maths
that they're-
questions
yeah.
if you want, and he might be able to answer them.
But just have a conversation
But
with the
have a
child and you will see.
conversation.
This year, let's say no to microplastics, no to toxins, and yes to clean, healthy hydration, because water matters more than you think.
We're made up of 60% water, so what we drink literally makes us who we are. Enter Win-Win Water, the game changer in pure toxin-free hydration.
Most tap water is full of chemicals, fluoride, metals, hormone disruptors, and even medications. And unfortunately, most bottled water is made from fossil fuel-based plastic, which can leach nanoplastics into the water we drink.
That's where Win-Win Water comes in. Not only are all their bottles 100% plant-based, made from sustainable sugarcane, but their water is locally sourced mineral water that is naturally high in electrolytes and minerals. No need to add anything in, it's just as nature intended, real, live water.
So we're huge advocates for the UK-based water company Win-Win Water. For us, it really is the starting point for health. If you're drinking the best quality water with no toxins, your body will thank you for it. And in this case, the environment will thank you too.
Win-Win Water are currently offering 10% off subscriptions with the code RAISE, so that you can get the best quality water delivered for you and your family directly to your door.
Visit winwinwater.co.uk to find out more.
So then after you took Isaac out of the school, how did you then find the homeschool community?
So again, very fortunate in Brighton when we were. And there's loads going on, as you guys know. But initially, it was nerve-wracking. So I'm not on any social media and I don't use social media. So I was a bit rubbish. Well, yeah, but it's rubbish for home ed. So it was just word of mouth and talking to people. And then I found an amazing forest school that...
Where we met?
Yeah, which is where we met. And your daughter showed my son around and I just went, this is what home ed kids are like. She was amazing.
I still tell people that story,
honestly.
It honestly, filled me up.
So she sort of looked after me and Isaac and took us around the forest school and showed us everything and where it was. And so we started just with forest school. And there was a period of time where I really wanted him to decompress from what he'd been through. And I think hindsight's beautiful, isn't it? But like at the time I was feeling, we should be doing workbooks every day.
Yeah.
We should be doing this every day. And then it was more about me learning to be okay with my decision than it was about
us unschooling, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. And so I think it took me a bit of time to get used to it. And as I took my foot off the pedal, things started to present themselves, I guess. You meet one person when you're home edding, they're a home edder, they know stuff. So if you don't want to be on social media, which there is loads out there on social media, if that's a great tool. But if you just want to talk to people and do it that way, invariably you meet a family, they know something. And I found out everything that we go to through just meeting someone and then the next person.
You've got WhatsApp groups, right? Or haven't you?
Only now. Never have had.
Because I know I get a lot of people asking where to start. So, yeah. And obviously we are fortunate in the Southeast.
Yeah.
But if you're in a little village somewhere and you don't have that, I think it's more challenging, isn't it?
You're saying in terms of for someone to find out how. My point is yes, social media, Facebook, amazing. Facebook, groups for home ed, WhatsApp, all of that stuff is all out there. But I honestly think talking to people.
Once you found your first group,
then
you're okay, aren't you?
Yeah, okay.
Because everyone, we've never advertised. So how's
you've got a
everyone?
waiting list.
So how's everyone found it?
By the way, Sophie wants to carry on. I meant to tell you. She does. Just letting you know. I'm so on. I'm like the worst.
It would have been great if you'd gone, by the way, Sophie wants to leave. Oh, okay.
I'll just drop it in there now, sorry.
We started, that's why I said about WhatsApp group. You were in a WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I was.
Because you posted our initial flyer in the group.
I actually posted it to all of the parents that I knew
from Forest.
And then there's this web, isn't there?
Yeah.
But then now people just talk. Someone gives them our email address, don't know who.
Yes, so how many children do you have?
So we've got about 60 families, I think, at the moment.
Oh, that's amazing. And is there a waiting list?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I join it?
Yeah. I can't cope with the admin at the moment.
Do you think you guys will ever expand and open an Imaginarium too? Because I know there is
different location.
Only because I know there is a massive
we're going to end up like
calling
beads.
for this.
Is it beads that will function from a shed at first or something, and now are this?
I think we both feel quite similarly on this. I
don't know. Say it and I'll tell you.
So growth is terrifyingly worrying because you're creating something that you're then not in the room for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the magic is being in the room, right?
Yeah.
So I think any sort of growth that we're doing we're desperately trying to find a site. I'm putting that out there and hopefully help. So in that sense, growing from a tiny seed and growing the site so that we can maybe take more children in and have more things going on simultaneously, definitely.
Because we are at our capacity really now.
Yeah.
And also even with regards to primary and secondary as well. Yeah,
exactly. So in theory, if we find the right people and we can find more people and we can run primary and secondary almost
Simultaneously.
Because you're currently mainly
Yeah.
primary, aren't you?
Yeah, we've just started starting in September an 11 plus
Nice.
Wow.
day. So that sort of growth, yes. But the idea of growing beyond where we are, I think certainly we've both said in the past that how do you recreate this? I don't mean to
magic.
sort of sell
Yeah.
ourselves.
We had the
but
same with our business. It was like as soon as somebody else took over, they're never going to have
It's
the
not
same
the same.
passion.
So how do you
that
keep the
you have.
fidelity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the scary point, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
But I think there is a massive
how do we-
need
There
in this
is.
Yeah.
country.
I think how we've grown before is fill a day, make it pay for itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Start your next day with maybe a slight buffer from the other day
Yeah.
supporting it, because
Right.
until that one fills.
Okay.
And that's what we've kind of just about managed. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
more or less full from September, I'd say. Well,
Yeah.
they are because there's a waiting list. And then we can have the Wednesday because they can just about carry it with not enough children if at the beginning it's
Okay.
not
So
full.
how many days do you do at the moment?
3 at
3
the moment.
days.
However,
September
the
will be
kids can
4.
only attend 2, can't they? Because of
So there's a rule, if you're not a registered school,
Mhm.
then children can only come to, we are called a daycare provider,
Yeah.
for 18 hours maximum. Otherwise, that counts as their full-time education, which means we would be a legal
Okay,
school.
School.
and then you need
interesting.
Ofsted and all these
Yeah.
other
There's too many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
We would need to publish a curriculum. Doesn't have to be
Okay.
the national curriculum,
Yeah.
but we'd have to publish a curriculum and there'd be many other things in place. We are Ofsted registered and they can
Yeah.
still visit us.
Okay.
And we don't mind that because it's to do with safety
Yeah.
of children
Safety.
primarily.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
totally fine.
Amazing. So 2 days a week, and I bet parents
Mm.
just love that they
2
can
days.
have that
Yeah.
flexibility.
So essentially 18 hours is the
Yeah.
maximum. And because we're open for 8 hours a day, 2 days is 16 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
And we can, in theory, begin to access the secondary day as well.
So what we're doing from September is we're shaving an hour off our younger days, if you
Mhm.
like, our mixed age day. So it's 7-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of them make 14 hours, which means you've got 4 hours to play with.
Okay.
And that's why children who are old enough could come to the secondary day as well.
nice.
Oh,
And the
okay.
that's
secondary
only
day
4
is
hours.
shorter because I listened to the children who are getting to that age and they said, don't even think about asking me to get out of bed before 9 a.m. Because
This
they
is
don't.
also so true. Ava does not want, I'm sure Isaac doesn't.
He doesn't.
Well,
She
with
wants to
hormones
wake
and
up
stuff, they're more tired,
Exactly.
And
aren't
they
they?
need that.
Yeah,
They need
the
that.
sleep.
And
Teenage brain.
absolutely. And then a shorter day and then a period of time at the end of the day where they will have their own social space. Thank you very
Wow.
much. Bye, Mum.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to do 10 till 2 with these older children. There'll still be social time in
Yeah.
there. But
Amazing.
this is going to have a slightly different vibe, actually, the older day, because we think we're probably going to write them all a letter, don't we?
Mm.
Because we don't really want this to be opt-in. We want to say, well, you've opted into the day. You are old
Yeah.
enough to say, I want to come to this focus day.
Yeah.
So we are expecting you to
Opt
be
in.
focusing.
Yeah.
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 And there'll be social time.
Yeah.
We won't do 4 hours of solid
Yeah.
work. And hopefully, I've realised as well, you get a 40-minute blast or a 30-minute blast when the children want to be there and are concentrating.
Mm.
You get more learnt anyway than an hour.
Yeah. What does a typical day look like at the Imaginarium? Like, how do you structure the days or the curriculum and what you learn?
So you go for it for the topic day, yeah?
Topic day. So we start at 9 o'clock because we're home editors and I can say they dribble in. And
It's
arrive
so
by
funny.
about 10, they're all there.
I still worry about getting there late and then we're often the first there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've considered fining them, haven't we? But we thought better of it. No, it's that nonsense again. It's like we start at 9, but the idea is that if you arrive by 10, great.
Okay.
Because then you don't have to panic and
Yeah.
get there and get fined if you're not there, whatever that nonsense is. So 9 to 10, it's kind of loose and most of the kids come in and they just play and hang out. Or we might start the day with a bit of a drum and bass dance.
Amazing.
There's always like an art table out. So lots of them just go straight and do art or craft. Sometimes they're teaching each other something.
Yep.
It's quite beautiful actually in the
It
mornings.
is lovely. And then we have check-in with everybody. So we all kind of meet on the rug. And it can vary from discussions about how long a crocodile is to who's going where on holiday to maybe a negative experience that they've had the day before and they want to talk about, or, I mean, everything. It's a check-in. Then we have snack. Not that they have to snack then, but we
My
make
children
sure
definitely
Most of them
snack.
already snapped by then.
Yeah, half of them are eating during that, but some of them eat their entire lunch before 10 a.m. So yeah, there's a kind of time for snack, and then we go into our first focus time. And that's kind of loosely an hour, hour and a half. And that takes us all the way through to lunch. So the focus time will be under whatever the project is that we're doing that term. Currently, the current one is biodiversity is beautiful.
Oh.
So there's, endless learning on whichever topic we're doing. And then we have lunch and we try and sit down and eat together as a unit, adults and children together. And then we go to the park and we have sort of like downtime, playtime.
Lunch, including the eating, is 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
For play, for eating, for whatever.
Getting outside.
Yeah. And then we come back and generally do a little meditation if we've got the time, hopefully. And then we have some reading. We have sort of set reading time. And this was one of those little sticky things between us, wasn't it? Where I was like, I'm not sure about set reading time. And Laura was like, it's really good.
I was like,
I'm not sure about
I
it.
think for me, if you're going to teach a child one thing, it should be to read.
I remember you saying
You're
that.
going to
Yeah.
pick something because it opens all of the...
Their world is then.
Yeah.
And this
That
is one of
oyster,
those
isn't it?
things where she was 100%
And also,
right.
It is actually ultimately, it's an expectation. And it's embarrassing to say, I can't read. If you just haven't... It's like something that, rightly or wrongly, we are expected to be able to do. And think about how you'd read, how you'd function, how you'd get from A to B without being able to read. For example, read a menu.
Yeah.
Just feel
it's a big
opening those doors.
Yeah. And Lauren was bang on and right. And I think my concern was that we were going to create this kind of like, formal schooly vibe around it. So we've managed to find a way of doing it that really works and is beautiful.
It's a really nice, calm
It's the moment in the day,
time,
isn't it?
because they all get this is what's happening right now. And we worked hard at persevering when it didn't appear like anyone wanted to read it. Like, this is the one, this is what we do this time.
Yeah.
A lot of kids thrive off that as well, don't they? They kind of reject it initially, but then I think we need it.
We also started calling it like book time and not reading time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then it kind of removed the expectation.
You might be looking at Where's Wally? Please pick up a book.
Yeah.
Let's learn how beautiful books are.
And that's then evolved into having like reading groups. So we might do a book all together, some with the more teenagers and then some with the younger group. It's, it's all sorts of things, but it is a really important point in the day. And she was absolutely right. Well done. And then, reading and then into the second focus time in the day.
Which is an hour. Yeah.
And then we have snacks. So we have nice homemade bread and nice organic fruit and stuff like that. And the kids generally hand it out to each other.
Some prepare it with us.
We might even make elderflower fritters and things like
that.
We
did it yesterday.
Yeah. And then we kind of go into, after the end of that focus time, pack down, which is the most beautiful part. I love it. We put on a song.
Or three or four.
And the children basically turn into this, most days, occasionally they go a bit off-piste, but this well-oiled machine and they just pack the reading down.
Amazing.
Both of us can't wait for the day where we don't have to do that.
How to do that. What song are you putting on?
Yeah, exactly. We've just put
Alexa, play.
Haven't we?
It's also that peer, not pressure, but that like wanting to be a part of it. They all do it because it's kind of become fun and they're a team.
So nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Might just add, we hire a hall. And it's not ours, we hire a village hall. So we have to set up every morning and we have to pack down every night, which is the tables, the chairs, all of our materials. Yeah. And this is our biggest reason why we want a site that is our own. We're very lucky. The hall is great. They've given us loads of stories. They've given us a library.
Yeah.
2 different parks you can go to. Everything's brilliant.
I also love the fact that there's no phone signal there.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, my kids aren't around radiation all day.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it does mean they have to help us pack down and one of us has to set up in the morning. But back to the point, partly it helps them to realise there may be a sense of this place.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It's not...
I was going to say when we do get a site, we'll probably just go, it's pack down, guys, because
Well, they
it's
can
just so
still
lovely,
yeah.
tidy up.
I do weirdly enjoy pack down because you see this
You
team,
see
as you
them
just said.
working as a team.
Yeah.
That's, you see, it's a real showcase of them doing their thing as a
And
group.
they get satisfaction out of
Yeah.
being part of it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Aw.
And then we have checkout. We generally do rose, thorn, bud, you know, so that's like, I started doing it as a parent. It's a very useful tool.
What is
That's
it that
what
like
it
the good
is.
points the bad? Yeah.
Exactly. Your
Ah.
rose is something in the day that you really enjoyed, about the day invariably. Your thorn is something that you may have struggled with. Sometimes they will say, oh, I've got a thorn, but I don't want to talk about it, you know, but they just
Okay.
kind of want to voice
That
maybe
there's
some,
something
yeah, there's
they're
something.
working on.
And then the bud is something that you're looking forward to.
Usually dinner or sleep.
Dinner or sleep or holiday.
Yeah, not coming back the next.
Yeah.
No, they do
Tomorrow.
No, that's not true. They do sometimes.
Yeah.
They do say sometimes. They
But
talk about us in the ear.
it's a really nice way of them having their little moment, but it also, you know, getting through a big group of people all finding their voice. And then we will often play a game at the end of the day.
Great
with them.
game. And going back to the focus times, this is the thing that we're still working out the recipe for this because, and maybe there isn't one, because some days it's a focus time which we expect everyone to be able to access no matter your age. Sometimes we've planned something that will work for the younger children or emotionally younger children and older. So we do a divide and we've kind of predetermined that. Sometimes it's like, there's this option, or this option. And maybe the answer is that all three of them have their place, depending on what we're doing. Sometimes it's we're all going out and we're going to go on a walk up the hill, you know. So the focus time
or an 8-mile hike.
That's the whole day focus time. But the focus time is so different.
Yeah.
There was that, just talking about the hike. We did that in the first year and I think it was cold.
Yeah, it was cold, yeah.
Decided we were going to go on a walk out for the whole day and we went up Lewis Racecourse up to Black Cat, didn't we? And we were late coming back. All the parents were already at Imaginarium in the dark. Sophie was obviously a lot littler. She was on my back. We had bags. Every adult was
with a child.
with bags. They were limping.
I tell you what though.
Child abuse.
Yeah.
They blooming loved it.
They loved it. Like the next day when they came in, they were like, but we mapped how far we'd walked and sort of showed them a flyby of it. And they were just like, and that kind of thing. Yeah. And being able to do that kind of thing. This, again, it's the same as the pack down thing. The cohesion of the group. So when the little ones are struggling, the bigger ones are like, I'll give you a piggyback. Or they share their lunch or whatever it is. It's just, so that's when you really see, you know, the amazingness of it all.
Well, I mean, we barely got through Lewis and they were all like, when's lunch? And you're thinking, oh God, we haven't actually started. The walk. And then we picked the coldest spot ever to eat lunch. We were like hit by the wind. My dogs ate at least 3 children's lunch.
Oh no. It's great.
We were giving them their socks because they didn't have warm enough.
But
it was brilliant.
It was one of the best days. Yeah.
Oh,
I love
see,
that
that's one of the
yeah.
reasons actually why Tara isn't at the Imaginarium is because it's so outdoorsy and she really struggles with walking kind of out. You know, there's a lot of challenges that would come with being so outdoorsy.
We do have a lot of parents actually who will email us because we'll always give forewarning, right? I'm not trying to sell it to you.
No, because I am already sold. And actually there's been moments in this that actually I feel really emotional because Tara's at school and I know it's not necessarily the perfect fit for her. But we have so many different areas where I'm not sure whether groups and her attending groups isn't just as straightforward for us. You know, there's a lot of other kind of things. And my husband's main concern is socially, if we can't get her into anything else, will that, you know, impact her? You know, but for me, it's a very emotional thing because I just really want to take her out of school.
Yeah.
And actually, it's been so eye-opening having this conversation with you guys and all the things you talk about because it all just makes such innate sense.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of parents out there who have children who are struggling with either their mental health or anxiety, you know, ADHD or autism, you know, that they don't fit in this school system. So the fact that you guys offer something that really bridges the gap between homeschooling and school
Mainstream.
is
yeah.
amazing.
And we know we can't be all things to all people. And
Yeah.
we've finally made peace with that. And because there are a lot of
Mostly.
you haven't. There's a lot of options out there. There's other options for home ed that are probably more schooly than us.
Mhm.
We're on this scale and we're not at the bottom where we just play, but we're also not at the top where we're just simulating school again.
Yeah.
We're somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
aren't we?
Yeah.
And I think we're very happy with that.
Yeah. And there are a few children who can't physically sort of go out for the
But
day.
I guess as well,
but
it's
on
like,
those days,
yeah,
we
you can let people
email
know
and we
and they
say,
just
we're
don't
going to
come.
do
They
this.
don't come.
And there's
And
an
that's
option to
actually-
not
yeah.
be there.
So it's not like it's a every
No.
Child.
No,
week
if it's
thing.
a walk, a
Yeah.
big walk,
Yeah.
it would be, we call it a trip, I suppose, and you would
Okay.
know,
It's
parents
kind of
would
like
know
booked in
about it.
advance.
But there is still the odd
Walk up a hill.
spontaneous. We always go to the park, which is very different because
Nice.
they don't class that as
Yeah.
walking.
Okay. Yeah.
And they suddenly have loads of energy. When we got to the top of Black Cap and they were all dying, they still managed to game a tag.
And then
You
they
know,
still managed to run all the way down to the end of
It's
the
just
hill.
different energy, isn't it? Walking's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But again, that's another thing we're persevering with, really, and saying we are going to do this thing. It is good for us all to be out in
Yeah.
nature. We believe in it, and they drag themselves up that
Yeah.
hill.
I think you guys are just doing an absolutely
Yeah.
amazing
Like
job. And I'm
angels.
so, literally they're both angels. And I'm just so grateful for you both. And we want to leave it on any books that you guys might recommend or resources. If somebody was considering homeschooling, where would you kind of recommend that they look?
My absolute start is just read anything written by the amazing Ken Robinson.
Or listen
Or
to his
listen
TED Talk.
or watch his TED Talk, which was very much like at the forefront of it.
Interesting.
Not because he's got the answers, which again I love, but because he is his TED Talk, which was one of the most watched TED Talks of all time, I think.
Oh, wow.
Are schools killing creativity or something? I can't remember the title of it. I mean, Google, great, it'll be there. And he's a storyteller and he tells amazing stories about his experience and him watching how the education system is kind of going wrong or not meeting the needs of certain individuals. And I think he says it better than anyone else can. He's not with us anymore, actually. I think he passed away. But start there. Just start there.
Also, just on that, people have asked us before when they've been inquiring, what education philosophy do you follow? None. We don't.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to go, we're Montessori, we're Steiner.
Yeah.
We're what we feel is right and we are learning. We haven't nailed
And we'll
it
never
yet.
stop.
Yeah. But we don't want to be, pigeonholed into a box. And I don't want to copy something. We're learning from the children, from our experience. And just kind of trying to work it out, making up our
personally
own
think
one.
you're smashing it. So guys,
thank you.
honestly,
Thank you so much.
so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.